Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to aNavigator podcast. Today we have Michelle with us, and we will talk about AI listings, the scaling, all the amazing stuff. And yeah, welcome Michelle. And
Good, Elsie. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and likewise, Oleg.
yeah, sure. And before we start, I would like you to introduce yourself and tell about your journey, how you end up in the e-commerce space and in listings and Amazon. Yeah, it's always curious for me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I'm the CEO of Digitile, and Digitile automates writing product listings, and with that, we help e-commerce companies really scale their listing process. And with that, how we got here is we actually spent a little bit of a journey helping organize product images for brands. And after we started organizing product images with tagging of those images and defining attributes, our client said, with these attributes, can you do other things with these attributes? And with that, we started auto-generating product titles, product descriptions for D2C sites, and they needed to extend this beyond the D2C site. They asked us to do this for their Amazon marketplace, Target, Walmart. And so that was really the evolution. Is we started out being able to identify attributes within images, and from there it led to being able to enrich a product catalog with more data and then auto-generate product listings.
Okay, yeah. So you get from the images to the product listings, and I believe the images will be the next version of AI, but we get to it in the point.
Yes, we're
Yeah.
actually there. We're already doing some of that as well.
Oh, okay, okay, good news. So the first question I wanted to start, usually I put it in the end of the episode, is all about AI, but you as an expert in the space, uh, what do you think? What is the current state of AI in the Amazon space specifically? We see the tools from Amazon.
Yeah,
We see some providers create some. There is a ChatGPT, like, and it's a lot of hype.
it is.
And yeah,
I,
what
I would
what can we do?
I would say on one level, in some ways, it's the wild, wild west, which is a very, I'll say, American phrase and term, which is everybody's doing it, everybody's doing some flavor of it. I think there's no little like regulations around it. Certainly, global regulations or country regulations are very limited at this point because it is such a new technology, and that's really probably a topic in and of itself. But from what's going on, I think you've got a lot of players, including Amazon, that offer some level of AI, and it provides some value to e-commerce and Amazon sellers, but it's still in its infancy, and there's still things that Amazon sellers need to be, I'll say, monitor and manage the AI, because it's not going to instantly do everything for you and come out with the most perfect product listing or product image for that matter, because it is still riddled with, it needs to learn, it needs to be fed, and it needs a lot of information in order to be able to be very good at what it does.
Yeah. So what you're trying to say is there is a lot of interesting tools, but it should be a human in the loop for sure, right? And someone supervising and giving the guidance, and then yes.
Yeah, so one way to think about AI, and right now, for those that aren't super familiar with how this whole process works, but everybody knows ChatGPT. I think most Amazon sellers know that Amazon has introduced its Amazon AI to help you improve or optimize and generate a product listing. Is under, I'll say, on the back end, under the hood, if you will, there are these very large, what's considered language models that someone has gone in, and teams of people have gone in to train and build these models. The problem is they're built from a very broad set of data. And so what you need to know is you're going to get either a broad set of data back, and you could also even duplicate content information that you would produce through these AI models that a competitor might have. And so one of the pitfalls, if you will, one of the early learnings that everyone should be aware of, even using the general out-of-the-box Amazon, is exactly that, which is Amazon's going to look at your product data and information, but it's kind of got a limited view of that information, and it also is going to index it across everybody else's. And so not building a model specific to your business, that can be problematic and it can be redundant, and therefore, you still need to kind of validate and look at and review the information that it gives you, because it can be something that isn't exactly precise, and it's using a very broad model to define what it knows about, I'll say, your products.
Yeah. I recently started to play with this ChatGPT new stuff called GPT, that you can make like your own kind of model without coding, and definitely it's not exist on Amazon yet, and we'll hopefully we'll.
I think another problem is that most people don't know how to craft and write a really good, I'll call it ChatGPT or Amazon for that matter, prompt. And prompting is an art in and of itself. And oftentimes companies will hire linguistic type of people who know how to really hone a prompt. That's something that we've gotten very good here at Digitile, is how to write and essentially bring in dynamic data. So one of the things that we do is we bring in your product catalog, your brand style guide, keyword research information, top 100 seller data, PPC data. So right there alone is we're building the model based on your data. And that's one thing that automatically separates us from general models that you could go to ChatGPT or other solutions on. And then from there, our team has become experts, which, we don't expect everybody to become an expert, and you shouldn't have to be, on how to craft a really good statement on, give me a product title that, starts with a brand, a product description, let's say product features, color, size, maybe the target market, pulling these things together so it's smart, and then obviously going through that for the bullets and the product descriptions. These are things that you shouldn't have to know how to become a good prompt writer. And right now, most of these solutions, they give you a very generic, I'll say, open-ended box, and you type in some kind of statement that says, write a really good product title. But it doesn't lead you down the path of going, well, what do you want in it? How do you want that structured? What are the requirements? What are keywords? What are all the things that are going to make this super high impactful and high converting?
Yeah, this prompt engineering, it's kind of like coding of like new era of coding, so it's complicated.
It is.
Okay, and so let's get to the like how we can apply it, right? There is a lot of tools, Wild West, absolutely, and definitely you need to use the most sophisticated focused solution that will be focused on your case. But still, in general, you have to have a strategy, right?
You do.
So we had a discussion with you numbers of times, and I think that like one of your strategies is like try to optimize all of your catalog, right, and make it seasonality things. So yeah, can you bring this, because I think this is the strategy is much more important than the tools, because tools will evolve, and like in a year we'll talk about very different tools, but the strategy is the key.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now, again, everybody really does focus on that probably top 5, 10% of your product catalog. And we tend to ignore lower selling SKUs, lower margin SKUs. And there's an opportunity to take advantage of using technology so that you can expand your, I'll say, listing strategy, your listing consistency, and be able to bring in additional revenue as a result of now being able to have more refined listings across a broader set of products and SKUs. And so with that, I think we need to think about, from a strategy perspective, how do you get ahead of the curve? So many of you have existing products that have been on Amazon for a very long time. So let's talk about existing listings versus new, or existing products versus new products. So for existing products, many of you don't want to manually go in and change all these things. You have data on it. And the data is providing you insight into, obviously how well it's doing, and you've optimized probably that 5 or 10%, and you don't want to go backwards and do that. Well, think ahead, right? So one of the things Oleg and I have talked about is we all have, there's buying seasons, depending on your industry. There could be occasions, there can be different reasons to optimize that listing based on people, how people search during a particular time of year or occasion. And so when you think about how do you eke out another 5 or 10% new revenue on existing products, you have to think ahead to go, I know that here's the data for the upcoming, let's say, holiday season. Here are all the types of search words that you're getting through Oleg and his company. And now you want to maximize and make sure that those words that you weren't already accommodating for during a season, because you don't use those words in every day, you factor those into your listing coming up for the next season, meaning for the season that you're going to go selling into. So take the old listings and optimize for seasons and occasions by using your data, and then you can automate and formulaically do this with AI, so you don't have to manually do it. And then when you have new listings, there's an opportunity where you can do the product research, you can do the top 100 research, use all that data into the, I'll say, feed of the AI. So you're training the model ahead of time, going, I already know what my good keywords are. I know what my good, or what the competitive top 100 seller data looks like. I'm going to reverse engineer that. And I'm going to plan ahead, because typically, you buying your product ahead of time before you put it out and get it approved. And now you've already maximized and optimized those products and SKUs, taking in account of all of that data that you have on hand that you can use to optimize those listings.
Yeah, thank you. This is definitely a strategy. Unfortunately, we do a lot of it manually because we still lack of consistency with the tools, and especially the point for us is we have history of the PPC or on the conversion side of things. So even like now is the Christmas time, and all of our clients like, yeah, Q4, you already started to scale our Christmas keywords. Not yet, like, because we have the history, we can push hard, but it will be not profitable today. But starting from November 10th, 15th, it will be getting better and better. And also those keywords are converting, those not. And yeah, if you have this data, you can definitely feed it to the algorithm to make it even more like, I don't know what was the term, like, be precise fit, right?
Yeah, I think it's optimizing and streamlining that process. It's your data, your research that you do for your clients with our AI, combining the two together for those brands and those sellers that have a fairly large set of products that they need to get ahead of the curve. The two things together is really where the power is, and the strategy behind going, I'm going to get ahead of the curve and start planning ahead, optimizing the listings so that I can release them based on your knowledge and your data. When you go, the holiday season for these keywords kick in November 10th, November 15th, I'm now going to put those listings so that there's consistency and everything matches relative to the search, relative to things that they read in the listing, because all that's been incorporated. You're more likely to get a conversion as a result of having incorporated those main keywords, those secondary keywords that they're coming in through the ad side.
Okay, so we discussed more or less the importance of put the right keywords in the right season, right? And it's I believe it's obvious for most of the audience, but I have a question mark how they really use it on the scale, right?
Yeah.
And do you have some kind of cases or don't do things that you saw with some clients? Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we see a good. It depends on the product and the brand, but we can see as much as a 10 to 15% lift taking into account the PPC data, the keyword data, from a seasonal perspective, and writing new listings or rewriting the listings of existing products where someone's likely, if you think about it this way, it's Black Friday's coming up. If you sell candles and you sell, seasonal candles, like where there's some kind of winter smell, some aroma, fragrance, someone's going to type in, Thanksgiving, which is something in the States, but like some kind of holiday oriented, like Christmas, mistletoe kind of aroma. And those are things and words that are only going to come out for certain times of the year. But, imagine someone going into Amazon and typing that in directly. Normally, if your listing doesn't have that, I'll say in, from a PPC perspective, but also all the way down into the listing of like the fact that the aroma hits on this, you're not going to be found. And the key about everything within Amazon is clearly discoverability. And so by tying these things together, we can get anywhere from a 10 to 15% lift of taking these two and linking the data with the language within that listing. And then it's just a matter of, where you put it in the listing, how you phrase it, how many times, how you rephrase that in order to hit enough people so the sensory of what they're looking for matches the listing itself.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And just in my mind popped the question: what do you think of the international languages? Of course, all the models they're quite good in English, right? But I don't know. We have sellers in Mexico, in German, in France.
Yeah, the AI is actually really good in it's about 15 different languages, and so it's been trained on all of your standard, obviously English, French, German, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese. There's Greek, there's Hebrew. I know there's Korean. I'm probably listing. I'm missing a few, but there's at least 15 languages that it can be optimized for, and it sounds extremely native. We've done some tests. We've asked local, I'll say native speaking individuals in certain countries to review and validate. And sometimes it's the client who's obviously fluent in those languages and can tell that these are written in a very native tongue way.
Yeah, interesting. I also believe that today AI is quite good, like really good in the mainstream languages. And I
Yes.
speak like 5 languages, and only one is not really good in ChatGPT yet. It's Lithuanian because it's small country. It's
Okay.
just 3 million people all around the world. So next year, right? And
there you go. Add it to the list of from a development
yeah,
standpoint.
but it's still there is no Amazon Lithuania. But another thing that I hear from our clients, especially for like international markets,
Yes.
they use some external copywriters, and the process, like you want to have people in the loop in optimization, but someone in the loop, it's someone over there, and you send it, and takes few weeks back and forth to get approval. And because especially in the language I don't speak, and I have like, okay, I can trust, and then I put it on my website or Amazon listing, and can be questioned.
Yeah. So one of the things we know is that, for sellers who sell across different countries, Amazon has different, I'll say, negative words or words that it doesn't approve. We have a database of, I'll say, country language specific information of things that are and aren't approved, if you will, by Amazon. That being said, getting back to your question, which is really around workflow and timing, this is where actually the AI can be super helpful. So the AI can actually go through it, and think of AI as something that can take you 85 to 90% of the way there. And it sounds very good, but you want that fine tune And so think about using your team or potentially even an offshore person more as a reviewer rather than someone who's going to sit down and write it. And that the writing and starting from scratch is what really takes the long time. When you're looking at the information, it's much faster to look at a paragraph or a bunch of bullets and say, these are the perfect benefits. Here's the sentence. Does this sound good? Is this relate? Does it tie to the imagery, and does it really convey the story that I'm looking for? In fact, that's something else that the AI does very well, which is it can take in the imagery and associate imagery with a story and a narrative. And so again, the AI has a lot of benefits on cutting down the time. So getting really specific, we have clients that essentially have a bunch of copywriters on staff. One copywriter can do about 400 product listings in a month. The AI can actually turn those 400 around within a matter of 2 days. And then they spend their time just QAing, and they can QA within about a week and a half, depending on their own timing. And so you've now get to market with something much faster, reviewed and buttoned up, that's tied to your brand messaging. It's very consistent. It's reliable. It's typically less expensive, depending on where you're getting your resources. So there's a lot of benefits behind condensing the timeline and giving your team the time just to review, rather than having to think through and bring all that data together and having it automated.
Yeah, absolutely. As AI, I believe in today's stage, it's really time saver in most cases and money saver, of course. And iteration, you make your business much more agile and fast to market with your iterations. And what is your opinion, like what we will talk about in a year or 3 years?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
where we are going?
So I think, okay, that's a great question. So imagery is starting to get better. Okay.
Mhm.
I think right now we can do a reasonable job of, I'll say, attributing things about products. So in this case, I'm wearing sort of a black sweater. It's got a scoop neck. It has hem sleeves. AI can actually identify some of this, not all of this. It's going to get better at what we consider like a taxonomy of what exactly is this and how do I describe this in human language terms, so that we can turn around that information and actually really do a good job of conveying something about a particular product. So it's good. It's getting better. ChatGPT 5 will be releasing an even more improved image, I'll say, attribution recognition model. And so we've been using their 4.0. It's good. It does a nice job. It helps us enhance product catalog data, but we use it in addition to a whole bunch of other things. I think over time it will start to improve even further. And then I think it will be around generating that image. So right now we are auto-generating imagery. So we can take an existing image that you have, put it on a colored background, add your logo, add text. We can do a lot of that. We can make it look 3D. We can put some dimension to it. Over time, I think, again, those models will continue to get better. One of the things that we see right now with images is if you don't give it the exact text, for example, and you ask it to describe something, it often misspells things, and it won't make the letter clear, and it needs a lot of direction. So I think over time, we're also going to see improvements on things like, can it convert an image, and can it actually create an image that looks more real than it does today? They look good, but they still look fabricated. And so right now we're using existing imagery that you have, and then, as everyone probably knows, you need at least 6 images on Amazon to help your rank. And if you don't have those, we can produce a bunch of those out of an existing image, and that's good, and it's helping everybody get there. But there's times you get an image from a manufacturer and you want to create a whole bunch more imagery without doing it in Photoshop, which is time consuming and expensive. Can the AI actually create a net new image, even if it didn't have an image based on the description? And we're not there yet. But I think in a year or two, AI imagery will get to a point where it can actually depict a very good representation of that product, where probably there will be a lower need on pure photography time and Photoshop, actually.
Okay, so today we need much less copywriters, and in a year we will need much less photographers. I will not say we don't need them, right? It's still human in the loop for the long term, but much less human and much faster interaction. And human will be responsible for like more high level than the routine tasks.
Yeah, I think we're getting very good at enhancing product catalog data, to say it that way, and we, in time, I think we'll get very good at pictorially representing that information in a way that we don't need to hire a photographer, or frankly have a very good someone who's very good and astute at Photoshop.
Yeah.
And those are all the
Okay.
time-consuming things about getting a listing out. And frankly, Amazon sellers, their number one goal is getting that product out the door, the listing going, so that they can start selling. And these are all the bottlenecks in the process today that slow that down. And the faster that we can help Amazon sellers get to market and figure out which ones are winners, which ones are, okay, which ones need to, essentially be replaced and recycled. That is the goal, is to help everybody get to a point where, they're focused on the data. They're not focused on creating all the information, for that listing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's very interesting insight. So as a brand owners or the sellers, we need to focus what we do best, right? We create an amazing product that people need, and Amazon do fulfillment, and AI will do all the kind of branding. Like we still need to do the branding ideas, but implementation of it can be done by AI.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon sellers are great at being great category experts, and understanding what they think is going to sell, and not everything hits, obviously, but nonetheless, they're so focused on picking product. They want to get that product to market as fast as possible, so they can determine, did they make a good decision? Is this a winner? Is this, sort of a mainstay type of product, or is this a product that just needs to, be taken off the shelf and recycled with net new inventory, right? And so, to your point, let Amazon sellers do what they do really well, and let technology help them get there faster.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very interesting discussion. I really get a lot of value out of it. I hope our listeners will do as well. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Put like and subscribe, whatever platform you are. And thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Oleg. I appreciate appreciate being invited, and thank you, everybody. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions directly.
Okay.